What is up, you guys? It is your boy Keeper Real. I hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. You guys know what comes out October 20th. I don't gotta tell you guys see it right above me. Marvel Spider-Man 2. And I'm gonna be on there like white on rice. Now, IGN dropped their review, so I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it. I'm a creature of habit. If a game that I'm excited for drops, I'm trying to see the content in relation to that product, guys. Let's see what IGN gives it. Metacritic right now is sitting at a 91, but I truly want to see what IGN gives it. I hope it's not a 7. If it's not above a 7, I'm gonna trip because everybody everywhere else has been going crazy saying it's 91s, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. So let's see what IGN got in store for us.
Hey man, glad you could make it.
With Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Insomniac has the unenviable task of following up two riveting superhero fantasies full of excitement and heart. While that may sound like a good problem to have, the question becomes, where do you go from there? Well, its answer is to double down. Double down on Spider-Man, double down on the size of the map, double down on explosive action sequences. In doing so, the studio has crafted another consistently exciting rollercoaster ride and the best story of the series yet. But stand the original alongside the sequel in other ways, and it can look a bit like two Spider-Man games pointing at each other. The excellent combat hasn't gotten old, but it is largely the same fun as before. And despite that larger map, most of the open world activities found within it are in desperate need of evolution.
I do agree with the whole open world side activities because Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, they're really just repetitive, but really that's not why you play the game. You're playing the game for the main story. I get that they should have worked on the side missions, but I did find myself enjoying some of them a lot. Some of them felt really fleshed out as others also felt very dragged on and stupid. Some of them really did, like the puzzles for Harry Osborn. Some of them felt stupid. But you had other missions like meeting Black Cat that took up a lot of time and felt really good. They just felt fully like they were actually part of the story. You know what I'm saying?
The result is a blockbuster in the most modern sense of the word, undeniably thrilling for long stretches, but by the numbers for others. Despite a couple of new tricks up its sleeve, Spider-Man 2's combat is very familiar. It doesn't have that new suit smell anymore, but it still feels incredibly comfy to slip back into. The rhythm of precision dodges, the new perfect parries, so you're not only swerving and striking now, and acrobatic finishes are hugely satisfying, as is chasing high-hit combos to keep the fight as stylish as possible.
Just gonna tell you right now, the graphics are looking great. They are looking great, and I get it that IGN is complaining about the combat, but the combat was already good. I just don't understand why they should make drastic changes. Yes, it should be familiar. You should be able to pick up this game and not have played the original Spider-Man in the last few years or Miles Morales in the past 3 years, and you should be able to pick this one up and play it right away. I hate when games have such a good formula and they completely throw it away because people start saying, oh, you need a new combat, well, that didn't get you the perfect scores. Brand new combat isn't what got you that score. It's the proper execution of the things that you already got in there, baby. You guys already know this. That's why Madden, when they try to switch up, they don't switch up. It's the same exact game every single year, and it's always going to get the same exact review scores, always the same.
The movement is smooth and the hits are crunching, like some sort of peanut butter hybrid that every one of your foes is allergic to. Power and elegance are brought together in a brick-to-the-face ballet as enemies are thrown around like dolls, juggled in the air, slammed across concrete floors, and slung into each other like body-armoured bowling pins. But, naturally, never killed. Every bone in their body may be broken and every organ punctured, but of course, they'll somehow live to commit crimes again. Overall, there's slightly less emphasis on stealth encounters this time around than in either Spider-Man or Miles Morales. As someone who found the stealth action of the previous games a little simplistic and routine, this new, louder approach is welcome. Naturally, there are story missions where Miles or Pete have to slink across ceilings and take out thugs who never look up, but Spider-Man 2 is much more eager for you to get into the action, with many abilities designed to let you group up enemies and then deal big damage to all of them at once, rather than spreading them out to pick them off one by one. But once Parker dons the symbiote suit already shown off in trailers, the gooey, angry powers that come with it make a big impact, adding more of a brawler nature to fights and giving
that symbiote suit, symbiote, however you like to say it, that costume looks so good, man. I really can't get over the fact that Insomniac truly nailed the look of this suit. And knowing that you can customize so many suits into different combination, I believe over just a little bit over 200. Come on, man. I'm in there.
Peter a set of tools to match Miles' satisfying electric abilities. One area that Insomniac has made improvements in is that Spider-Man 2 offers significantly more in the way of enemy variety, so you'll no longer be battering the same 5 balaclava bullies with baseball bats. Certain enemies are weak to different types of abilities, such as electric or symbiote attacks, which also adds an enjoyable extra wrinkle to fights. It's by no means revolutionary stuff, but a welcome added level of complexity that makes you consider which powers, or even which Spider-Man, are best for the job. That's not to say there aren't benefits to taking a sneaky route though. There are many perch takedown possibilities offered, and new toys to play with too, such as the web line, which allows you to create your own high wires over your enemies to prey on them from above. It's a fun tool that allows you to reshape the tightly designed arenas into a battlefield more in your favour, and in doing so, redecorate the room with web-wrapped people pinatas. On the topic of covert ops, the playable MJ sequences from the original return, and while they are more involved this time around and serve the story well, they never add up to more than simple stealth missions or splashes of basic third-person shooting. She's certainly not sidelined, but it does feel like a little more could have been done to make her gameplay sections a bit more exciting. Combat aside, our Spider-Men can now move around their friendly neighborhoods in more stylish ways than ever. The new web wings are undoubtedly a standout. Like Batman before him, Spider-Man can now glide and soar with ease through the city, and web swinging is as gratifying as you remember, and still one of the best ways to get around any open world.
So I think the reason MJ's sequences are so tedious and like slow, they're really not that big of a deal. One, she's weak. We already know this. She's a human. She ain't got no power. Stop trying to give her clout. She shouldn't be fighting people that like she should, but she does because it's a game. Like, there's no way MJ would just sneak up against a guy, get shot, and still tase him. You know, that's not happening in real life. But it is a video game. So I do think that the point of MJ's missions are just to simply make you want to go back and play Spider-Man. Because having that long pause, maybe 10-15 minutes, just makes you want to go back to that swinging. And I know it's stupid to think like that, but a lot of games make it so you enjoy it more by doing a little bit of things that you don't really like, if you get my drift.
The story swings just as elegantly between upbeat hijinks and solemn moments of reflection. It's undeniably a fun time to don the suit and enter a Kratos-like rage mode where you push in both thumbsticks and start one-hitting everything in your path. But the writers never once forget to take their eyes off the humanity inside these superhumans. The same can be said for both its heroes and villains, as Spider-Man 2 tackles the reasoning behind each character's actions and the good that can hide in the shadows of evil. Avoiding spoilers, the basic premise revolves around Kraven the Hunter, who is, well, craving a hunt. For those uninitiated in the character, he's essentially the Predator, an apex hunter blessed with super strength who has chosen New York as his next hunting ground.
Wait, hold up. I know I'm going back, but I think I just saw something.
He's essentially
Okay, it's just showing guys around New York.
Predator,
I thought that
an
was
apex
the main
hunter
character.
blessed with super strength who has
Punisher
chosen
was there.
New York as his next hunting ground.
Or Taskmaster.
It's a great starting point that sends the city's hero and villain dynamic into flux as he sets his sights on the biggest prey possible. There are also smaller stories at play though, ones that may seem less important when compared to the citywide chaos, but feel like potential world enders to those who inhabit it. Both Spider-Men tackle the most extreme examples of trying to manage a work-life balance you could imagine, exploring a range of personal issues including strained relationships and loss that plague us as humans, no matter how superpowered we may feel. It's the best written story in the series yet, if still a little cheesy at times, with performances worthy of the script. It's a real triumph that manages to cover such a wide spectrum of themes without suffering from tonal whiplash.
You made it! I thought you said this was a startup.
Primarily a Peter Parker story, Spider-Man 2 explores his relationship with MJ and the reintroduction of childhood best friend Harry Osborn into his life. It's always compelling to watch him contend with which pieces of the past to leave behind and what future self he wishes to be. No matter how hectic a scenario gets though, he always has a quippy one-liner ready to be expertly delivered by actor Yuri Lowenthal.
I really should have stretched.
Miles still gets his time in the spotlight however, and has some fantastic moments towards the end of the main campaign, even if some of the more interesting explorations of his Puerto Rican African-American culture are reserved for side missions. Obviously, what you take from the story and its diverse cast of characters will be unique to you. On the surface, it's another thrilling superhero story packed full of surprises, cameos, and Easter eggs. But there are deeper meanings to be found here too.
Mr. Morales, is it? Are you sure this isn't something you can handle yourself?
Now, if they give this score below, the way they're talking about it is like they're gonna give it like a 7, guys. I don't know why they're talking about it like this, because so far they said it has the best story, it has great combat, they like the fact that they have more enemy variety, so they're building upon the things that got the other game a 9 out of 10. So I don't know, the guy in the video is just sounding a little pessimistic to me.
I'm sure.
Spider-Man 2, and to an extent all great Spider-Man stories, tackle themes of adolescence and puberty, a time of uncertainty for even the most normal of teenagers trying to control bodily fluids.
I gotta get better at fluid management.
We join Miles at this exact point in his life, with family ties straining, friendships facing new challenges, and life decisions of genuine importance being posed for the first time. Actor Najee Jeter displays all the range needed for the role, continuing to excel as a younger Spider-Man, maturing before our eyes.
Maybe one of those scholarships has my name on it.
Looking at these graphics, I promise you, if you go back to play the old original releases, they don't look like this. They don't. It might look like this because you haven't played them in a while, but go play them. I bet you it doesn't look the same. It just
For
doesn't.
Peter, these themes manifest in a much more physical sense. He's in his early 20s, so has already navigated the difficult years that Miles finds himself in. But thanks to the symbiote suit, he's working his way through yet more bodily changes. This physical manifestation is also representative of mental health issues that have developed for each Spider-Man. Venom hangs over the main characters like a spectre of grief, drenching them in black as if in a state of mourning. The story does a great job at gently exploring these issues and how, when not healthily addressed, personal demons can eat at us and lead to people we care about being unintentionally caught in the crossfire of the anger and pain those feelings can produce. Of course, a hero is nothing without its villains, and Spider-Man's rogues gallery is almost unparalleled. Outside of the likes of Venom, Kraven and Lizard seen in the trailers, Insomniac has kept many more hidden up its sleeve. I won't even hint at any of these except to say that Spider-Man 2 opens with a bang, offering up a sense of scale not previously seen in the series. It's an adrenaline-fueled reintroduction that tests how well you remember the combat, as well as providing a few new tricks. It's also the start of one of the new side story villain threads that are optional, and while those don't offer anything overly new in terms of gameplay, they do add valuable extra scraps of story. Speaking of boss battles, that's one area that Spider-Man 2 takes a noticeable step up.
Hey Doc, ready for your annual physical?
There are evolving brawls packed full of danger that put all of your skills to the test. Dodges and parries are key, as well as using environmental tools dotted around the arenas for your benefit. The latter third of the campaign essentially becomes a boss rush mode that will put the sturdiest of thumbs to the test. Not necessarily because it ever gets too difficult, but because of the sheer number of times you'll be hammering that square button. These later stages are where the majority of Spider-Man 2's thrills lay, however, as it really hits its stride late on and emphatically wraps up a tale with miles of emotional depth that never once threatens to peter out.
Your dad used to give me that exact same look.
Despite what loftier ambitions the roughly 18-hour story may have, this is still unapologetically an old-school approach to open-world game design, and nowhere is this displayed more clearly than in its optional quests. To their credit, the way you can highlight side objectives by pressing the right stick is a welcome upgrade over mere icons on a map. This isn't a world that beckons exploration or discovery necessarily, but it is a step in the right direction toward creating greater immersion and mercifully less time spent looking at the map screen. That being
I do think that the reason a lot of people explored the original game wasn't because of the side missions, but rather the swinging itself was just so fun. The traveling was just so fun that you didn't see the need to fast travel unless you were trying to finish the game. But everything else was just like you would swing, you'd find something happening on the street, and then you'd step in. You know, it just fills up your time. This game might not take you 20 hours to beat. It might take you 15 if you're just going straight forward. It might take you 40 based upon the type of player you are. So this is going to be one of those games where the experience is truly what you make it.
being said, I can't help but have hoped for a few more flashes of Gotham City to make their way into New York. Something like the spontaneous shock of Man-Bat jumping at you out of nowhere went a long way to making Rocksteady's superhero open world feel more reactive than what we get here.
Okay, that game is an absolute masterpiece. To say that Spider-Man hasn't delivered something like that is goofy. Okay, Batman Arkham Knight is a absolute masterpiece. No game has ever touched it in regard to superhero games. It is just so good, so fleshed out, so full of content. It is just crazy. But I will say that I did enjoy Spider-Man, the original release, and it was on par to Arkham Knight. Regardless of what IGN is saying here, personally, I did find the Spider-Man games to be equivalent of an experience as Arkham Knight, and I love the Arkham Knight games, and same way I love Spider-Man games.
When you consider the evolution of open world game design that the Arkham series took over the course of the trilogy, it's a bit disappointing to see Insomniac's series stuck in time when it comes to its side content and the way it presents itself to you. Standard open world filler activities are here aplenty, and that's one area where Spider-Man 2 hasn't moved with the times or shown much ambition at all. Collectibles, photo opportunities, and rather basic street crimes are still here, and despite having a few slightly more interesting quirks this time around, they only very occasionally excite. Granted, the additional enemy variety in play makes these activities take a little longer to get old than they did in the past, but this still isn't quite a strong enough twist to make prioritizing photographing these jabronis over saving a house full of people from a raging fire not seem ridiculous.
Whoa, guys, can we take this outside?
They gotta keep in mind, Arkham Knight is a whole different
There are
beast.
exceptions to the rule, however. There are a couple of more involved questlines that are much more nourishing, almost to the point of being a series of mini main plot missions. My favourite was the Flame questline, which begins with simply helping out the fire brigade, but quickly spins a layered and mysterious web. It's full of twists, turns, and surprises, like a great short comic book run that separates itself from the rest of Spider-Man 2's optional time trials and simple puzzle minigames. All of this contributes to fighting back against crime in each district of New York, a city now twice the size of what we've seen before. There are 14 unique districts, each with its own set of objectives to complete before you can unlock fast travel to that part of the map. Not making fast travel readily available is smart, and truthfully, I barely used it.
Dude, that is a Black Panther suit. You guys, I'm pretty sure a Black Panther is supposed to get a game not too far from where we're at now. Wolverine's getting a game, Black Panther's getting a game. I mean, so far I've seen this game, the graphics are great, the combat looks smooth, everything looks exactly like what we asked for as fans. Maybe not as critics, but as fans, this is exactly what we asked for.
Anyway, as swinging and gliding around the city is so much more fun. Gliding is especially great for crossing long distances thanks to the numerous wind tunnels that carve their way through New York's seamlessly endless grid of streets, flanked by Art Deco architecture and modern mirror-like skyscrapers. Of course, if you're going to be catching your reflection in that glass so often, you'll want to look your best.
Looking fresh.
Look at them suits, man.
You too.
Fear not, there are dozens and dozens of suits to unlock, with myriad colourful skins to pick from on each of them. From modern interpretations of classics to returning fan favourites, there are treats waiting for Spider-Man fans of all generations. In keeping with Insomniac's track record, the music behind it all is stellar, with Miles and Peter's respective signature tunes playing depending on who you're controlling. A highlight though is the theme that follows in Kraven's footsteps, which bears more than a passing resemblance to Howard Shore's Uruk-hai War March from the Lord of the Rings score. It
music is
soundtracks a
fire,
world
too.
that looks stunning, even when played in performance mode at a very stable 60 FPS, as I did for almost all of my playthrough. In fact, Spider-Man 2 is a
Dude, look
technical
at
marvel
this.
as a whole. I can't say I noticed one drop frame in my dozens of hours of playing. This allows Spider-Man 2 to shine in its most jaw-dropping moments, of which the story offers many, as explosive action, sparkling electrical effects, and fittingly slimy symbiote gloop fill the screen.
So, what do you think?
Come on, let's see what you're cooking, guys.
As a sequel in a spectacular series, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is both blessed and cursed. Its story of two Spider-Men is a great time and a Spidey fan's dream to play through as comic book pages are brought to life, elegantly walking the tightrope between light humor and heavier themes. Meanwhile, Insomniac refines a successful formula of combat and web swinging without revolutionizing either in major ways, making them comfy and familiar with just enough new tweaks and abilities to elevate them to fun new heights.
Is all this just a game to him?
The part that feels like it actually needed a radical rethinking is the open world of New York City, which has been made bigger but not better, with an exhausting checklist of mostly repetitive side activities. But it's safe to call this another thrilling Spider-Man adventure that delivers Insomniac's best tale yet, and despite its open world falling short, it is a reliably fun superhero power trip. And you know what? Screw it. It really did make me feel like Spider-Man 2.
Hey, they gave it an 8, so I'll give it, because that's not a terrible score. But the fact that they gave not only Miles Morales and the original Spider-Man a 9 out of 10, and then proceeded to say the map is bigger, the story is better. They said it was the best. It starts with a bang, it ends with a bang, it feels good, it plays good, performance is good. Their only complaint this entire time about this game, and this is what I was saying, their only complaint the entire time about this is the fact that the open world needed more side quests. Now, when everything else is basically enhanced, and you guys are saying that everything feels great, you've already gave the previous ones 9 out of 10s. This one gets an 8. I respect the decision, but at the same time, this is the same rating they give some of the worst games I have ever played in my life. So it's kind of like if a game gets a 9 out of or a 10, it's goated. If it gets an 8, 7, 6, even though those are great scores, it's a hit or miss. It doesn't mean that it's a great game that you should pick up. It just means it's a good game. But nonetheless, maybe my rating is off, but everywhere else has been saying, it's a perfect score, 10 out of 10, expanding on what was already built by the previous games. So IGN sometimes is a little, not skewed, but they review a little harsher if a game has more. So I completely understand. So it's probably because this one is the third one, so they're probably trying to drill in the fact that they didn't work on something that they have already mentioned, because they did mention it in the Miles Morales review they posted. And also the original Spider-Man is that the open world missions just didn't feel that good. But I am still hyped for the game. I'm excited about this. Everything here looks like exactly what I asked for. I'm not asking for brand new open world side missions. I couldn't care less. How many games fill the entire side quest? If it's Baldur's Gate, if it's an RPG, like if it's Skyrim, if it's GTA, okay, side missions rule. Side missions are good. But if it's a game about superheroes, sometimes the side missions almost take away from the main story, and it makes you feel like the game is dragging on. Again, that's to make you feel like you want to play Spider-Man, but at the same time, the reason most people play this game is not exactly to have the best side quest activities. If you wanted that, you'd play Baldur's Gate, because every side mission feels like a story. But you play this game in order to feel like Spider-Man, and like he said, he felt like Spider-Man. So guys, if you guys are butthurt about this score, just remember, it is still a great score. It might not be how you personally view the game. You might view it lower. You might view it way higher. You might give it a 10 out of 10. So don't get too butthurt by seeing this score. Don't go, with a pitchfork saying, IGN, 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 and GameSpot 888. How could you? They have people playing these games and they give their own opinion. A review is just an opinion. It's not a fact. So don't get all butthurt, guys, because We all know what happened to that boy Starfield, and I have played both. Got an Xbox and a PlayStation, played on PC. We already know what happened, and personally, I like Starfield, and it didn't review. It got about 7 or 8. So it is what it is, guys. Enjoy the games that you like. If you like being a superhero, play it, guys. If you played the previous ones and are excited for this one, play it. If you're not, wait for a sale. There is no pressure to get into these new games. But to end this video, I want to say this year has been bangers. Bangers after bangers. Yes, the time has gone by fast, but you guys remember February was Resident Evil 4. This whole year we have been getting fed great. It hasn't been a stale year for games. We've been getting some of the best games we've had in years. And I am so happy that Spider-Man 2 is releasing this year as well. Because, man, I am still playing Starfield, Baldur's Gate. I have played Resident Evil 4 so many times. Mortal Kombat 1. There are just so many games to jump in, sink your teeth into. So don't feel rushed to get into Marvel Spider-Man 2. If you're hesitant, wait till those people get the copies of the game. Wait till I post. With all that being said, guys, remember, leave a like and subscribe. Watch some reviews for yourself. Do your due diligence, but your boy already pre-ordered and will be on that game on Friday, guys. Keep it real. Out.